Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the Getting Started with ASP.NET MVC 5 from the Microsoft documentation. So far I've done Article 1, Getting Started, Article 2, Adding a Controller, Article 3, Adding a View, and Article 4, Adding a Model. This is going to be a very short presentation, and it's Article 5 on creating a connection string and working with SQL Server DB. And they mention here the movie DB context class that we created in the last lesson, and if you remember, that's right here. Wasn't real much. That handles the task of connecting to the database and mapping our movie objects to database records. So there'll be a correspondence that basically each record that we add, or each object, is going to be a record, pretty much. All right, one question you may ask though is how to specify which database it will connect to. You don't actually have to specify which database to use because the Entity Framework, or EF, will default to using local DB. Now, I did bring that up on here, and this is the thing on local DB that they talk about here, and you'll notice it's about 5 or 6 pages in length, so it's not real long. All right, if you'd want to take a look at that. So, local DB, as I mentioned, is a lightweight version of the SQL Server Express database engine, so it's kind of watered down, for lack of better words. It starts on demand and it runs in user mode. It runs in a special execution mode of SQL Server Express that enables you to work with databases as MDF, which I believe is Microsoft database files. Typically, local DB files are kept in the app data folder of a web project. SQL Server Express, notice, is not recommended for production, but it's not difficult for you to migrate your SQL Server Express database to either full-fledged SQL Server or SQL Azure. All right. So in Visual Studio 2013, really 2012 and beyond, local DB is installed by default, so we have it already. So, as mentioned here, by default, the Entity Framework looks for a connection string named the same as the object context class, or in our case, movie DB context. And again, if you want more information, as mentioned right there, and I didn't bring this up, I don't think, but there is a hyperlink right there if you're interested in that. So open the application web root folder, and it says not the web.config in the views folder. So the application web root is the one way down at the bottom right here. That's this one. All right, at the very, very bottom of the page. Oops, I don't want that. Find the connection strings element. Well, there's connection strings right there. Okay. So as you can see, it says add the following connection string element. So we want to add this in addition to the one we already have. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to copy it into Notepad, and then I'm going to copy it right into here. So there it is, and I think I can put this on the same line. I would not see why I could not do that. All right. So this is what we added right here. The following example shows a portion of the web.config. That's fine. Now it says these two connection strings are similar to one another. The first one is for that membership database. Remember, we've got the register and login. That's what that's for. We're not going to use that database in this tutorial, but as they mention here, if you're interested, you can bring up that tutorial for more information on that. And I think I actually did do that. Okay, and that's fairly new. It's literally a couple weeks old. And if you print that out, that ends up being quite a bit more. It's 26 pages worth. So the name of the string must match the name of the DB context. Well, what is that? That's movie DB context. So that's the name of the connection string. So let's take a quick look. There it is. So again, this default connection that you see right here, that one is set up for the membership database. Okay, we don't have to really worry anymore about it other than that. You don't actually need to add the movie DB connection string if you don't want to, because if you don't specify a connection string, the entity framework or the EF will create a local DB database in the user's directory, so it'll do it for you. Still, it's a good idea to go through and do all of it anyway. In the next lesson, because that's all there is to this one, in the next lesson, we'll build a new movies controller class that we'll use to display the movie data and allow users to create new movie listings. So that'll be right here, accessing your model's data from a controller. And I'll be back with that in a little bit.